They crashed into a mud.
Between the pro-Zionist group and those who are very much America first. He spoke at Turning Point USA, which is Charlie Kirk's conference that he puts on every year. And Charlie Kirk, by the way, is a giant Zionist, and lots of people on the conservative base, of course, are. And so it's a very divided group. And Tucker Carlson exposed that divide by calling out Israel, calling out their influence, and saying American citizens who serve in the IDF, which means they're dual citizens, by the way, should lose their American citizenship. Watch this.
I think that's really at the heart of why the Epstein thing is so distressing. I mean, the guy was some weird sex freak who was abusing girls. We knew that. But the fact that the U.S. government, the one that I voted for, refused to take my question seriously and instead said, case closed, shut up, conspiracy theorist, was too much for me. And I don't think the rest of us should be satisfied with that. And by the way, let me just say really quickly, because I was so mad about it that I think I found out part of what's going on. I think we are going to find out more. And I think the truth, for whatever it's worth, in case you're interested, is that the DOJ didn't release lots of incriminating sex videos with Epstein and his billionaire pals because they don't have them. They don't have them because when the original search warrant was served 2007, I think, possibly 2006, I think 7, it was basically designed to protect Epstein. The search warrant was written in such a way to make sure that the feds never got their hands on the actually incriminating evidence. It's another way of saying the cover-up has been going on since 2007, almost 20 years. And so the real question is not, was Jeffrey Epstein a weirdo who was abusing girls? Yes, we can answer that. The real question is, why was he doing this, on whose behalf, and where did the money come from? And those are the questions that need to be answered. And I think it's entirely fair to ask them. And it's not adequate to say anyone who asked them is somehow desecrating the memory of little girls who died in Texas. They're not going to put up with that answer. I don't care who gives that answer. That is not acceptable. And I think the real answer is Jeffrey Epstein was working on behalf of intel services, probably not American. And we have every right to ask, on whose behalf was he working? How does a guy go from being a math teacher at the Dalton School in the late 70s with no college degree to having multiple airplanes, a private island, and the largest residential house in Manhattan? Where did all the money come from? And no one has ever gotten to the bottom of that because no one has ever tried. And moreover, it's extremely obvious to anyone who watches that this guy had direct connections to a foreign government. Now, no one's allowed to say that that foreign government is Israel because we have been somehow cowed into thinking that that's naughty. There is nothing wrong with saying that. There is nothing hateful about saying that. There's nothing anti-Semitic about saying that. There's nothing even anti-Israel about saying that. I've spent my entire life pretty much in Washington, where I knew and loved a number of people, including one very close person who worked at CIA. That has never prohibited me from saying, I think the CIA has done some horrible things. Murdered a bunch of people, participated in the murder of a sitting US president. It's got a whole trail of crimes. That doesn't make me a disloyal American. It doesn't make me anti-American in any sense. I was born here. My family's been here for hundreds of years. I love this country. That's why I live here. So criticizing the behavior of a government agency does not make you a hater. It makes you a free person. It makes you a citizen. You're allowed to do that because you're not a slave, you're a citizen. And you have a right to expect that your government will not act against your interests, and you have a right to demand that foreign governments not be allowed to act against your interest. That's not creepy. It shouldn't be forbidden. And yet all of us have trained ourselves to believe that you can't say that somehow. That that's like too naughty and forbidden. And the effect of making that off limits has been to create a lot of resentment, and I'll say it, hate online, where people feel like they can't just say, like, what the hell is this? You have the former Israeli prime minister living in your house. You have had all this contact with the foreign government. Were you working on behalf of Mossad? Were you running a blackmail operation on behalf of a foreign government? By the way, every single person in Washington, D.C. thinks that. I've never met anyone who doesn't think that. I don't know any of them that hate Israel, but no one feels they can say that. Why? And I think the longer that we play along with it, the more subterranean and creepy and hateful the conversation actually becomes. So I think it's better just to say it right out loud. Did this happen? And of course, that question has been asked to the government of Israel, and their answer is, we're not going to tell you. And I think our answer should be, no. As long as we're sending you money, if you were committing crimes on our soil, we have an absolute right to know, did you do this or not? And yet everybody has been so brainwashed into thinking that's somehow an expression of hate or bigotry, when it's not. It's a baseline question that every U.S. citizen has a right to an answer on. What the hell was this? And by the way, if it turns out that it was nothing at all, that somehow Jeffrey Epstein really did earn $165 million giving tax advice to somebody, which is, for the record, a lot more than most people pay their accountants, and that none of this was actually a foreign intel operation, and that there was no blackmail involved, that actually Bill Gates was just hanging on the island because the weather was especially good. No one was videotaped doing anything immoral or illegal, and then that was used against them to get them to obey. If all of that is false, then just tell me how it's false. But don't call me a lunatic.
Well, a lot of people are calling him a lunatic. A lot of people aren't. This is definitely fracturing the base. But here's Rabbi Shmuley. So the Zionists went absolutely bonkers, as you can imagine. The Zionist faction of the GOP base. So you've got the America Firsters, and then I would say you have the, we could say Israel Firsters, or the Zionists, who are, they genuinely believe that Israel must, the Jews must return to Israel in order for Jesus to come back. And they put God before they do country. And so, there's a big group with that mentality. There's a big group who have been brainwashed. There's a big group in our political class who've been bribed or blackmailed, whatever it might be. But here's Rabbi Shmuley's response. He says, anti-Semite Tucker Carlson says the Jews who fought for freedom in the IDF should lose their American citizenship because they're fighting for a foreign military. This idiotic ignoramus forgot all the Americans who fought for Britain when it was facing the Nazis alone before 1941. What he's referring to, let me just go ahead and play that clip for you so that you know exactly what he's referring to.
I think anybody, by the way, who serves in a foreign military should lose his citizenship immediately. There are a lot of Americans who've served in the IDF. They should lose their citizenship. There's a lot of Americans who've served in Ukraine, and they should lose their citizenship. You can't fight for another country and remain an American, period. Obviously. I mean, it's like not even, it's so funny how all of us have been cowed into being like, oh, that's hate speech. No, it's not. You don't hear hate in my voice because there isn't any. It's just an obvious recognition of the truth. But there's a more insidious thing, and I say it's not just Israel. I'm not just trying to give myself cover. I'm being honest. There are a ton of countries that offer citizenship, actually, some of which I love. I have been offered citizenship in a couple different countries that I really like, and I thought about it. And then I thought, there's something about being lashed to the mast. Like, everyone can see that America's in trouble, the demographic trends are really bad, and the country's decaying, and cities are falling apart. So you're like, oh, wow, maybe I should flee. And then I'm like, my ancestors are from here. My parents are buried right across from my kitchen. I'm staying here. And the second you make that decision in your head, Like, I don't care what happens to America, I will be here. It totally changes your attitude. You're like, I don't even care. It's my country. And they've been here for so long and fought in all of these wars. My ancestors, and I'm sure yours, would be totally shocked by some of the conversations. Foreign flags in the Congress? Are you joking? Get out. And so, no, once you decide you're all in on your country, it really changes the way you approach everything. And by the way, it should be the baseline requirement. You shouldn't be allowed to serve in government if you're not a U.S. citizen or you're a dual citizen. Are you joking? Of course not. And I would love to know what the justification is. And of course, there isn't one, which is why they're allowed to just write you off as some sort of like freak, some internet freak, hater, Nazi, whatever. No, I'm not. Just an American who loves my country, and I think it's fair to demand that the people running my country love it every bit as much as I do.
Okay, so a little bit of history on this one. There were 25,000 to 30,000 Americans who did join the British Army in World War II before the United States got involved. So lots of Americans flooded over. They had various different reasons for fighting. Some just hated Nazis, some maybe just wanted to fight. I mean, there was different motivations as to why. And just some other, Americans do serve in other foreign militaries. In Ukraine, for example, since 2022, about 100 to 500 Americans have volunteered, including Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s son. Thousands of dual U.S.-Israeli citizens serve in the IDF currently through conscription or voluntary enlistment, and the estimated is maybe 3,000 to 5,000 Americans. Before, like in the history of time, about 2,800 Americans joined the Abraham Lincoln Brigade to fight for the Spanish Republic. But I don't know if they joined the military, the Spanish military, or if that was a kind of like a mercenary group, which I think that's a bit different. If you join a mercenary group and you're going to go fight on behalf of another country, I think that's different than maybe, I mean, I don't know. I'd have to really think about this. But I feel like maybe it's a bit different than actually donning the uniform of a foreign country. I don't know, what do you think of that? I'd have to really think about that and the implications of that a bit more before I make a final assessment on that one. Iraq, Syria, small groups of Americans joined Kurdish YPG forces to fight ISIS. So there's, again, you know, the Kurdish YPG, they're fighting ISIS. They're also fighting for independence. So it says it's not illegal under U.S. law to serve in a foreign military as long as you're not fighting against U.S. forces. You're not joining a group the U.S. considers a terrorist organization. You don't take a senior officer position in a foreign military without U.S. permission. I think with this one, any foreign country could at any point become an enemy of the United States. So I think it is best if there is a rule saying you cannot fight for a foreign military, that you need to, if you're an American citizen and you want to retain your American citizenship, you can't fight for you can't don the uniform of a foreign country. Because at any minute, I mean, a friend or foe, they could turn to foes at any second, and your loyalty would be questioned. Who are you going to fight for? I think there's a lot of implications and a lot of questions there, but I'm not 100% settled on that debate. But let's move on to Laura Loomer, who also had a comment about Tucker Carlson's his speech at Turning Point. She says, "I'm proud to defend Bill Ackman on the basis of principle. I've never asked Bill Ackman for his money and has never given me money. More lies from the Jew-obsessed crowd that now says if you're critical of Tucker, you're an agent for Israel. Newsflash, Tucker Carlson is a kook. Even Trump thinks so. He said so himself. Tucker does propaganda for Islamic nations and regularly attacks Trump. There's nothing America first about that nicotine junkie with mommy abandonment issues." And we'll get to what she's referring to when it comes to Bill Ackman here in just a second, because that one's a long one because Bill Ackman likes to write novels.
Hi, Mark Barton at Sandy Hook Promise here. When the gunman shot his way into Sandy Hook.
But here's Ellie Cohenim. She says, all the decent people walk out on Tucker Carlson as he rants and rants on Jewish conspiracy theories. Charlie Kirk, why did you platform Carlson even after he attacked President real Donald Trump, to the extent that POTUS called him kooky, and even after Carlson gave a fanboy interview of Iran's president the very week they issued a fatwa on President Trump's life? Why, Charlie? For shame. Turning Point USA, save yourselves from associating with this dreg likely on foreign payrolls. So accusing Tucker Carlson of being on foreign payrolls. Now let's get to Bill Ackman. Now let me just show you. I'm not going to read this whole thing to you because look at this. This is 5 pages long. Here's the first part, second part, third part, fourth part, fifth part. I mean, it's a novel, but in summary, what Bill Ackman said, and let me show you why Bill Ackman felt the need to go on this huge 5-page Twitter rant. He should be limited on how many characters he has, but this is what Tucker had to say about Bill Ackman.
60 million people come into the country illegally or overstay their fake refugee status or whatever. I mean, the whole thing's a scam, and they get housing vouchers and free education and free cell phones and plane tickets. It's like, wait a second, not only are they not getting punished for breaking American law, as I would and have, they're getting rewarded for it. The unfairness of it drives you crazy, and it's particularly galling in the case of Jeffrey Epstein and the whole constellation of people around Jeffrey Epstein, all of whom seem to be getting away with scams. And how do you know they're getting away with scams? I'll tell you how, because they're useless and they're rich. So how do you come to a place where some of the least impressive, most useless people who have no actual skills become billionaires? How's that legitimate? And by the way, if you ask this question, at least in Washington, it's like, oh, yeah, sounds like you're a socialist. Sounds like socialism. Yeah, okay, I'm a socialist now. All right. I was a Qatari agent or a bigot, now I'm a socialist. All right. Leaving aside my committed socialism, can you answer the question? How did Bill Ackman get $9 billion? Bill Ackman, a pretty impressive guy? I know Bill Ackman. No. Bill Ackman's like well-connected and super aggressive. That's it. And I think, well-connected, super aggressive people deserve a fair living like everybody else. But if you're accruing $9 million just because you're willing to do anything, I don't know why we have to pretend that's good. How did Epstein get 4 Gulfstreams? How did he get an island, a massive ranch in New Mexico, the biggest house in New York? Like, what is that? Like, at some point, the basic economics really matter.
Okay, so Bill Ackman goes on a big tear about this, and he says in this 5-page Twitter rant, he denies any connection to Epstein, saying he's never met or interacted with him. He clarifies that his wife once received a $125,000 Epstein grant for academic work at MIT before Ackman even knew her. He defended his wealth, the $9 billion. He says that he built his fortune through hard work, persistence, and investing. He says, he started Gotham Partners, launching Pershing Square, cold calling investors, growing a multi-billion-dollar hedge fund with one of the best long-term performance records in the industry. He notes that much of his wealth came from compounding returns, private investments like early Coupang, and the high valuation of his management company. He emphasizes philanthropy, citing $900 million already granted to the Pershing Square Foundation and another $900 million in uncommitted assets. He blasts Tucker for making false allegations in the past, failing to apologize or correct the record, and possibly being motivated by bias or anti-Israel sentiment. And he ends by accusing Tucker of being a harmful millionaire who spreads misinformation for personal gain, and says Tucker owes him an apology, but doubts he will get one. So, it's definitely dividing, and people are definitely, a lot of people are very pro Tucker Carlson on this one. A lot of people who are the Zionist crowd are against Tucker on this one and defend Israel at all costs. Another person that came after Tucker Carlson was former Prime Minister of Israel, Naftali Bennett. He says, quote, "As a former Israeli prime minister, with the Mossad having reported directly to me, I say to you with 100% certainty, the accusation that Jeffrey Epstein somehow worked for Israel or the Mossad running a blackmail ring is categorically and totally false. Epstein's conduct, both the criminal and merely despicable, had nothing whatsoever to do with the Mossad or the state of Israel. Epstein never worked for the Mossad. This accusation is a lie being peddled by prominent online personalities such as Tucker Carlson, pretending they know things they don't. They just make things up, say it with confidence, and these lies stick because it's Israel. There's a vicious wave of slander and lies against my country and my people, and we just won't take it anymore." Right, I'm sure what they're doing is they're crafting new laws that are going to censor Americans, that they're going to be able to get the American politicians to bake into bills and pass, and they're going to pressure all the social media companies to censor. Tucker responded to this. He says, "You just won't take it anymore. Instead of issuing threats on social media, why don't you sit down for a rational interview on Jeffrey Epstein's ties to the Israeli government? We'll reach out to your office this morning." So we'll see if that interview actually happens. But, Tucker is on a tear saying Epstein absolutely worked for the state of Israel. They have blackmail on America. And
there's a reason you can smell the asparagus come out of you in your urine. It's good for kidney health.
The kidneys produce urine to remove waste and extra water from it.
They're committing crimes against American citizens, essentially, by controlling our government. And a lot of Americans feel this way. And a lot of people in the GOP base feel this way. And Tucker Carlson has thrown a grenade into the GOP base and basically forced people to start taking sides. And I think what the GOP is going to discover is that their base is actually on Tucker's side on this one. That the majority of the base is actually on Tucker's side. And the reason I think that is because the number of Christians in the country has been dwindling for quite some time. Young people are not as religious as previous generations. And not only that, but the young people who are converting to religion or who are embracing religion on the right, a lot of them are Catholics. And Catholics are not dispensationalists. They're not Zionists. They do not believe that literally Jews need to return to Israel in order for Jesus to return. That is a very evangelical viewpoint. And the evangelicals are very big on that. So, but the evangelical base in the country and also in the GOP is dwindling, and so you're getting fewer and fewer people who are believing in that. You've got Candace Owens, for example, who joined Catholicism. She joined the Catholic Church. You have Jack Posobiec, who's a Catholic. You've got lots of, I believe Tucker Carlson himself might even be Catholic. A lot of them are Catholics, and they just don't have that same religious belief. So for them, this is not a conflict. It isn't a conflict to criticize Israel and to say, what are you guys doing over there? And why are you killing all these people? And why are you controlling our country to get us to do all these things for you? There's no real conflict there. But this has just really, really taken the GOP base by storm. And we'll see how this works out. I do want to play this one for you. This is who is this person? This is Colonel Lawrence Wilkerson. And he says he personally watched Mossad take over the Pentagon in 2002. So if you want evidence that Israel's in control of our foreign policy, here's a little more.
And it's unquestionable that the Epstein business was heavily influenced, let me put it that way, by Mossad.
And so that's somehow emblematic on these huge geopolitical issues.
Yes, I watched Mossad take over the Pentagon in 2002. The Pentagon was infiltrated by Mossad. They did not need any identification to get through the river entrance of the building. They went upstairs to Douglas Feith, the Undersecretary of Defense's for Policy, the third most powerful man in the Defense Department. Occasionally, they went to the second most powerful man, Paul Wolfowitz, the Deputy Secretary of Defense, and they had run of the Pentagon. Donald Rumsfeld, the Secretary of Defense, said to my boss one time, "Hell, I don't run my building. Mossad does."
So there you have it. And that was back in 2002. So Tucker is just calling out the obvious, and that obvious for many people, the obvious being we continue to engage in wars in the Middle East for Israel. We continue to do everything for Israel. We even censor American citizens for Israel. We say you're not allowed to boycott, divest, or sanction from Israel, otherwise you won't get any government funding. You'll lose your job if you're a school teacher. All of these things, all at the behest of the state of Israel to protect the state of Israel. And Americans are noticing, and Americans are saying, we're rejecting this. And the big question is, how much of the GOP base is on Team Tucker on this one or on Team Israel? And what kind of effect is that going to have inside of the GOP? We're seeing right now the Democratic base has already rejected Israel. They're putting a lot of pressure on their politicians, and I don't think very many politicians on the Democratic side are going to win their primaries or win their elections if they do espouse pro-Israel rhetoric. I think that it'll be negative towards them. So a lot of them will just avoid it altogether. Or you're going to see a lot of candidates coming out saying we don't want to be associated with a genocidal regime in Israel. And those candidates like Mamdani in New York might start really winning when they say we're America first, we're for America. and we want to also stop American funding of atrocities. So it'll be interesting to see how the GOP base shifts on this one, but it looks like America is shifting on the issue of Israel. No matter how much we continue to be propagandized, I see polls out there being put out there, oh no, Americans still support Israel. And it's like, oh really, who did you ask? Where did you put this poll? You know, who have you, you know, for one, can I trust your poll? Is your poll even accurate? Have you modified it? Are you just putting this out there to kind of Operation Mockingbird me, where you are just brainwashing me? Is that what's happening here? So I think people are onto this, and we'll see in the end, as the GOP continues, who ends up being Team Tucker, or I would say Team America on this, versus the Israel firsters who have infiltrated our country. Hey guys, thank you for watching this clip from the full Kim Iverson Show, which you could check out Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern at KimIversonShow.com. See you there.
Forget the gym. This is how men over 50 lose weight. With
I wish I never found this brand. Now I can't wear anything else.
Well, good morning. What are you looking at? Yeah, it's the German Venice. Are you watching my channel? Hey, buddy. Are you watching my channel? Have you subscribed yet? Man, I wish I had one of those really nice squirrels that come up to you. I love those little animals. You curious? You know, there's about 300 people watching you right now. Do you have anything to say? He's just looking at me. Look at this. Huh? See how close I can get. What's up, buddy? He's not really afraid. What's up? Hey, wanna shake my hand? No? You are curious though, huh? What? Alright, I gotta go. Peekaboo! Look at you, you're like a model. Man, I wish I had some nuts for you or something.
Good morning, subscribers. It is Sunday morning. And if you haven't subscribed yet, this is the time to do it because I'm stuck here in traffic. And you can just go ahead and tap that red thing that says subscribe. And you're going to get a notification the next time I upload a video. You guys have been slacking. I don't know if you get the notification anymore or not. Today I'm up early again. The early bird is not for the German Venice, that's for sure. But I was out late last night in Santa Monica, and then I had to edit the video, so I only got like another 4 hours of sleep. And the traffic is going crazy here, so we'll see what's going on. But if you like to look around at the flea market, this video is definitely for you. So let's go and check it out.
Look at this line, it's crazy.
This is definitely one of the biggest flea markets in Los Angeles. Bacon wrapped hot dogs. We got the fruta, all kinds of goodies here. I love those palm trees. Welcome to the beautiful Rose Bowl right here in Pasadena. Some happy music already. So it's $13.75 if you pay online. It's $20 if you pay cash. The flea market is every second Sunday of the month, just to let you know. It is hot today. The Rose Bowl. This is where Michael Jackson performed the halftime show at the Super Bowl. Remember? That was in 1993. Just a little fun fact. Even though the flea market is outside, when you look at all those vintage clothing, you can smell it. You know exactly how it smells, right? Those old vintage clothes. Boys in the hood. This is what I need, one of those. Then no shirt underneath and have one hanging down. That's how you wear it in the country. For your refreshments, they got lemonade, strawberry, and lime. But I've got my own, Snapple. Fill a bag of clothes for only $20. Oh, they got this Superman shirt right here. What size is that? I don't know. That's a pretty big Superman. Every time I come here, I always look at the palm trees. I love how they just go left to the right.
Fill up those bags with those pants. They're too big for you, my friend.
I emphasize again, it is free to join my community. The stocks I share are also free. The techniques and strategies I teach are also free. So
got my little system. I do the inside first and then I do the outside. The Red Bull DJ is here for your entertainment. Cowboy boots everywhere.
I like her style, the way she's dressed.
I'm not sure if you like the flea market, but I love it because you never know what you can find. Somebody's trash is somebody else's treasure. Even the dog got a grill right here. Look at this. Bling bling. See? Something like this. Elvis, Golden Records. But I think I have this one in Germany already. Never seen those cool bags before. Yeah, this one actually plays a radio. They got an old tape. Nice. They got a radio guitar, a Terminator bag. Some really cool stuff here. Route 66. See, this morning I didn't know I'm gonna see the biggest jeans in the world, but yeah, check those out. Wow. They're taller than me. They got those Chevy pieces here. I like this one. This is $80. They got a Mexican license plate. Old music boxes. Those look cool. Everybody's going crazy about those Labubus here now. Those are spray painted on though. Labubu. Did you get your Labubu yet? I like stuff like this. I don't really have space to put it somewhere, but it looks nice. Is that a golden record right here? Eagles, Hotel California. Welcome to the Hotel California. This box is nice here with the California bear on it. Those are definitely rare. You can get those for $5. The Oregon one, the Utah one, Illinois, you can even get easy $5. I got like 30 of those. Those are overpriced, but $60 for those old ones. Not too bad. I think I bought a sign here the last time I was here. But I don't see something sticking out here. Some of them are pretty new. The New York 145, nah. Street signs, no parking, 1 hour parking, one way. Darth Maul. C3PO. This one is $25. Should I buy that one? It's a bubble head here. And I think if you put a coin in here, C3PO pushes it in there. You got two Chewies here. This one is a little big and mini. So I looked at this flag here and she said it's a vintage flag from 1960. She wants $400 for it. I really like it, but I'm not gonna pay $400. She said it's a vintage flag. I have like a whole bunch of them. She wanted $400 for it, but she said it's actually worth $600, so she's giving me a deal. I said, wow, that's a good deal. And when I walk away, she wanted to sell it to me for $200. I don't like when people do business like this. Give me one price and stick with that price. This one would be nice as an Oscar, but even that one is cool. Look at this guy. It's the right thing to do on a day like this. He's not a happy clown though. Those statues they have here for sure. And all this Chinese stuff here. Alfred Hitchcock. It really looks like somebody loves Lucy here. This flag is $40. Even though I don't like any of those pictures, but I like that they put the price on there. Then you know, it's not like, oh, how much is this one? $250, but for you it's $80, you know? So, put a price on. That's what I always used to do in my store. Every picture had a price. Yeah, that hat is gonna look good on you. Those boots were made for walking.
And that's what they'll do.
Look at all this stuff they have here.
I'm not a Disney fan.